Hi BookTube, it's Stephanie. Today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read during the autumn because my editing program decided to crash and I don't want to start over editing a 15-minute raw footage video. So let's film this instead so I feel productive. So this will be all the books that I read until December. Just to finish it. So the first thing I finished was manga. This is Spy Family Volume 4, story and art by Tatsuya Endo. This follows a spy who has gotten the codename of Lloyd Forger, and he works as a psychiatrist, but his mission as a spy is to get access to someone named Desmond. And to do that he needs to have a wife and a child, and for said child to become friends with his youngest son. It's a lot of fun, found family. And his wife that he picks, well, his daughter picks her, is an assassin, and his daughter can read minds because she was part of some experiments. I adore this series. This is so much fun, and yeah, it's just a bunch of weird things that happens and everyone being overworked and stressed out. Oh, and the dog can see the future, and since the girl Anya can read minds, she sees said future. Pretty fun. I'm really enjoying it. The next one that I finished was Artemis by Andy Weir. This was a buddy read because we really liked The Martian and Project Hail Mary. This, however, was a bit of a disappointment. Especially the ending. I didn't mind too much until the ending because I thought that the conclusion and the romance, like, what the frick. It just felt like, especially the romance part, that felt like Andy Weir was told that you need to put a romance in. You don't need romance in books. Like at all. I understand why people are weird about it and feel like, oh, it's... I just... like, oh, because it was written by a man, these things. Sexism and things like that. And I'm like, well, how many women haven't had... Well, I haven't because I'm a isolated bitch who has very few friends. That never goes out and prefers to read and play video games. But how many women haven't had experience in which they have been called sluts when they are not? And I understand what people mean, but I just felt like, are you just upset about the fact that a man wrote about a woman who had a reputation about being a slut? Yeah, for me it was mostly the ending that dragged it down. Otherwise, until that point, it was probably closer to a 4-star for me. So I had fun with it, but I would definitely recommend The Martian or Project Hail Mary over Artemis. Then I finished 2 ebooks. The first one was Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. This is the first book in the Four Horsemen quartet. And in this one, well, a couple of years ago, the Four Horsemen rode around the world, creating a lot of blackouts and things like that. And that was a warning to see if humanity could change its ways. Nothing happened, so Pestilence started to ride out. And we are following a woman who stays behind in an attempt to, like, shoot him. To kill him. It turns out that Pestilence can't be killed. And then it's like this weird, he decides to take her as prisoner and things like that. It's a romance. So there we go. I didn't really mind this. I thought it was pretty fine. Definitely like Stockholm Syndrome a little bit. So yeah, I had fun. I don't really feel like I can say anything else because I have mentioned this before, but at least as far as I'm aware, I'm aromantic and asexual. So me going like, nah, I don't really know how realistic things were or things like that. I thought it was fine. I liked it. And if it weren't for the fact that the second book wore, like part of me wants to continue because, as I said, I liked it. However, the second book wore, and I just feel like this is in such bad taste. Palestine-Israel war I'm so sorry. That was probably I hate that's where the second book takes place. I might pick it, but as of right now I have DNF the series, but I did like the book. Then I read my first T. Kingfisher book. That's Nine Goblins. And this is a short novella about 9 goblins who finds themselves transported behind enemy lines, because in this world the goblins moved when the elves and the humans started to build and expand. But then it turned out that they couldn't flee more, they couldn't leave any longer. So they turned around to attack so that they could gain background and actually have a place to live. And yeah, this group of 9 goblins gets caught up in a human spell and gets transported into human territory, and there they meet an elf healer, or a vet. That's it. I thought this was really fun. I loved the way the goblins work together. It's a novella, so I can't say more, but it was pretty fun, and I liked the banter, and I love the descriptions. Like, the elf is a vet, and things are not like clean around animals. So like some of the, like when people visit him and reactions, I thought it was fun. So I had fun with both of those books. Then I read a middle grade, His World Hopeless by Chloe Perrin, and this was so much fun. We are following, what was his name, Robbie, whose brother got killed by falling from a tower or something, and well, he is basically nice, and his family is known for being very, very evil, and his mom keeps on pushing him down, and he just, oh, but she loves me, like everything she does and say, and he starts looking for something. This was such a delight. I absolutely adore this series, and I will definitely look up more books by this author. This was such a fun thing to read, especially since Robbie is just so completely, oh, but my mom loves me. She told you to go kill yourself. Yeah, she loves me. I thought it was adorable, and I would highly recommend it. Then I finished 2 fun fantasy non-fictions. The first one of them being Notes from Small Planets by Nate Crowley. Now this is written as, well, this was found as a forgotten manuscript from a book, and the author and the editor are both missing, because in this world several years ago these portals were opened and you could travel to vacation there. And this is a travel guide written by, let's see, Floyd Watt. And his editor is Miss Eliza Salt. And he tells you about his recommendations from when you visit several of these worlds. And you do have a story going through this, and with comments both from Eliza and then himself messing things up, and obviously all of these places are inspired by books. We have, or places, we have the superheroes that constantly advertise things because that's how they get paid. We have obviously the section inspired by Harry Potter and what happens when the not magic users find out about said magic. It's really fun. I had a lot of fun with this. And yeah, and I really also like the story within the story, because Floyd goes through, as the chapters goes through, that's how his story is. And I had a lot of fun with this, and yeah, I would actually really recommend this one. And then the second one of those fantasy non-fiction is this one, How to Keep Dinosaurs, the best-selling guide to choosing and rearing your pet dinosaur by Robert Mash. This it's like a classic. It was written in, when was it written? 83. And it basically, like, this is set in a world where dinosaurs are free. And then to like save the dinosaurs, have them as pets, and how to rear these animals. What's a good beginner one? I had such a fun time with this, and yeah, it was a fun time. So I would recommend it if you like these books, like Notes from Small Planets and this. I enjoy them because I just find them hilarious. Books that take like, think about this, the best place to get this kind of dinosaur is from here. But just note that some of them might be, I adored it. I had fun with it. Then I finished a sequel, Dreadful Company by Vivian Shaw. This is the second book in the Dr. Greta Helsing series. This takes place in Paris, which I think you can see. And in this one, after presenting a paper on the behalf of a friend or a co-worker, Greta's companion leaves before her, and she's supposed to come after, but she doesn't. And where has she gone? And well, vampires are on the loose. And this was a lot of fun. And this one also has some time thingy in it. That was a lot of fun. And we also meet a werewolf in this one. Yeah, this is a paranormal mystery, and I like the fact that the main character she is a doctor for the undead. That's what she does. She's not like she has like 5 different occupations above that, like a lot of other, like these mysteries have, that the main character, like, oh, you might have a other occupation than being a detective or cop, but they are really good at it. No, she is a doctor who's trying to get out of this situation alive. And yeah, I just adore this series. And I have noticed that when I like something, I have a hard time describing it. But this was a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to get to the third one, which seems to be about mummies, according to the cover. But yeah, had a lot of fun with this, and I'm looking forward to finishing off this, so far at least, trilogy. Then I, on a whim, picked up Malamander by Thomas Taylor, which follows a finders keepers. Well, he's charged of the lost and found, and one day a girl shows up and says, "Hide me," and then comes an adventure that has to do with the legend of the Malamander, because because the girl's parents went missing. I love this. This was such a delight, and I immediately ordered the next 2 books in the series. I talked about them, like I wanted to continue them. I didn't really talk about them in my book haul, but because it's so long. But I'm really looking forward to continue on with this series. Then I listened to a ton of books, and I just kept on going. I listened to Exit Strategy, Network Effects, and Fugitive Telemetry all by Martha Wells. I listened to them in order because they were suggested one after another on Storytel. I had so much fun. And the third book, at least so far, the next one, I mean, which would be number 7, is at least temporarily supposed to come out in November. system crash or something. I'm looking forward to it, and I have now reread the entire series, and I had a lot of fun. The second book, or the novel, went by pretty quickly the second time. I had a hard time for some reason the first time. But yeah, this is a series following Murderbot, who corrupted its own governor model to be able to make its own decisions, because something had happened at one point in which Murderbot did something terrible and then was purged of that memory. But these constructs that Murderbot is part of does have organic parts, and said organic part does, that includes brains, does retain some memories, and Murderbot wanted answers. And that's what like the first 4 books is about. This is the end of that, and then we continue on with the novel that will probably be like a bridge to the next step. The 6th one in this series is something that happens technically in between. In chronological order, it's like this, and that's a murder mystery. A lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the series. I love it. Then I listened to The Star Messenger by Neil deGrasse Tyson. This was definitely not what I expected. It has a lot of philosophical ideas and thoughts, and I did like them, but this book is definitely aimed for Usonians. It's aimed to the US population, because, I mean, obviously I can follow the ideas, I can follow the thought patterns, but I don't give that much of a shit about American or Usonian politics. I really don't. Even though it's pretty funny for a foreigner to hear some comparisons and be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how someone who believes the opposite says about that. Because it's just fact, it's numbers. And I like that, but I wasn't the biggest fan of this book. Just saying. Then, on my Twitter feed, I got someone retweeted something that I'm following, and it was The God of a Repo, which is a comic, something, it was something that had been crowdsourced or something, and the artist then put it out, because it was like some Tumblr thing, collaborative thingy. I don't remember, I just remember that I cried several times reading this one. I loved it, and yeah, I absolutely adored it. If I manage to find it, I know I saved it, but if I manage to find it, I will link it down below, this Twitter thread. I absolutely adored it. Then we have a non-fiction, Världshistoriens märkligaste experiment by Niels Bio. This would translate to the world history's strangest experiments. And not all of the experiments are weird, just saying, but this is another list books that has a bunch of weird experiments, and yeah, it's pretty funny. Some of them are just horrible, which is kind of the point, I guess. But now some of the experiments are just awful, period. A lot of experiments with the LSD, which, okay. But also some experiments were like, that just sound so silly and ridiculous, and then you learn something important from them. I had a lot of fun with this. I can't say that it's the best thing in the entire world, but yeah, it was fun. I can't say that it's like the most best thing I've ever read, but yeah. They also talk about things where people have claimed that things happened, and then it was basically proven that they lied. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, so keep on going with all these books that I've read. Not too many left now. Then I don't remember if I finished that book in December or not, but I know that I started this in December. This is Tomtar, so yeah. Yeah, it's a mythological or folktale creature in Scandinavia and a lot of other parts in Europe. This particular book was written by a Dutch, and it was fine. I mostly like the imagery. Okay, I know I can't show that. But yeah, I mostly like the imagery. I did feel like the ending part was a bit too, how to put it? I can't recall what I'm supposed to say in English or Swedish, to be honest, but I just found that was a bit too political correct, I guess. I'm not saying that it wasn't bad, but it just felt a tiny bit too, yeah, too political correct. But yeah, I still had fun with this, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, it was interesting to find this out. Basically, this is written like a fact book about creatures that exist, that the author and the artist have watched, spied on a little bit, and talked to figure out the information for this book. And it was fun and cute, and yeah, it definitely is very Christmassy leaning, at least in Sweden, because we have a lot of Christmas cards and things like that that looks like this, or different variations of them. But yeah, had fun with this, but not something that I like. If I didn't own this and I bought it from a library, I wouldn't like run to get my own copy of it. Last stretch. Then I finished Spy Family Volume 5, Story Not by Tetsuya Endo. In this particular volume, we get more Anya with school. We also find out what Lloyd does at his work when he's actually at the hospital where he works as a psychiatrist, because Anya has a mission to write something about his work. And we also meet another character that's, yeah, basically she and Yuri, which is yours brother, they would get along because they want the same thing, break up the marriage. But yeah, again, I'm having a lot of fun with this series. Then I finished this one, and I'm so happy I managed to finish it because holy shit. Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. The first book in I think it's a trilogy, and each book basically recounts the same events, but from their point of view. And holy, the language in this. I don't give a shoot about this. I'm gonna read, well, technically it's the 2 first paragraphs, and you can understand what my issue was when reading this. The child is dead. There's nothing left to know. I hear there's a queen in the south who kills the man who brings her bad news. So when I give word of the boy's death, do I write my own death with it? Truth it lies just as the crocodile eats the moon, and yet my witness is the same today as it will be tomorrow. No, I did not kill him, though I may have wanted him dead. Craved for it the way a glutton craves goat flesh. Oh, to draw a bow and fire it through his black heart and watch it explode black blood, and to watch his eyes for when they stop blinking, when they look but stop seeing, and to listen for his voice croaking and hear his chest heave in a death rattle saying, "Look, my wretched spirit leaves this most wretched of bodies, and to smile at such tidings and dance at such a loss." Yes, I glut at the conceit of it. But no, I did not kill him. The entire freaking book is written like that. Oh, that was hard to read. Once you got into it, it went by quicker. But oh, I took breaks. Like, I knew that when it went a day without me picking this book up, I knew that meant like a week or 2 before I picked it up again. But holy, this is one of those books that when I started it, it's hard to say what it's about, so I won't look up the synopsis because I don't think it really gets... The main character is Tracker, who gets tasked with finding a boy. That's the main bones of it. We do get a lot of information about Tracker's life before that point. This is... When I started this and got through to like 100 pages, if even that, I was like, I need to conquer this book, I need to finish it, and then I could put it down and just say, I'm finished. I don't want to continue. I want to read the second book. I'm not ready for it right now, like at all, but I want to continue. I want to read the second book. Because there's something about it that just gives you, yeah, you just want, like, I want more from this world. This is definitely like, this is adult. Like the descriptions, the things, they are words, they are terms, like it's adult. And if you are not prepared for it, this is very close to grimdark in that way. It's not as gory, but like things are just, well, this is life. What did you expect life to be? Sunshine and flowers, please grow up. It's one of those, like we have slaves, we have talked about pedophilia, and things like that. And I didn't like the ending because of one part, but I do want to I want to read the second book. Not now, I'm not prepared. It might take me 4 years. I don't care. This is one of those stories where I got inspired enough that I want to continue, but holy shit, I need to be prepared. And let's face it, I might change my mind when it's time. Then the last body read for the year was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sango Mandana. This is a story that follows a person named Mika, who was raised and was told that she's a witch and she needs to keep her powers hidden, and she can't really form too close bond with other peoples, because in this world something happens centuries ago that meant that every time a witch was born, her parents will die, because they are all orphans. And one day she gets a message from someone who asks her to come in because they have 3 children who needs help training, because those children are witches. And it's also a romance. I thought it was okay. This one felt a lot like it was written ready for a movie. And honestly, if this had been a movie, I probably would have liked it a lot more. I will, however, give this huge props for not being a miscommunication book. Because I can't really say why, because that would kind of be spoilery, but it's not miscommunication. It's not like she interprets something wrong or she sees some, like, there's not any miscommunication. It's about the children, it's about this place and about the world and how she has expected the world to be for her for all future. But yeah, it was fun and fine. But yeah, I know that this was a body read and she DNF'd it. I continued because I was like, it's pretty fun. But I gave it 2 stars because it wasn't too... Yeah, it wasn't like... You didn't really feel like, oh, this is so intriguing, this is so immersive. It was a slice of life. And I had just finished Black Leopard Red Wolf. I needed something like that. But yeah, I would probably like this way more if this had been a movie. And the last book that I actually also finished on the 31st of December, I worked for it. I forced myself to do it. And that was White Trash Warlock by David R. Slayton. And this is the first in a trilogy in which we are following a main character who is... He is a wizard, and he's on the hunt in the beginning of the book after this warlock. And you become a warlock by imbuing like organic materials in a way that means that that person feels pain for all eternity. Yeah, but his brother, something is happening to his sister-in-law, and his brother asked him to come to help her. However, Adam, who's our main character, he was locked up at a institution, kind of, and his brother was the one who made sure that he got there, and he is having a lot of anger about that, and would never have helped his brother if it wasn't for the fact that he actually liked his sister-in-law. And then it's an investigation with what's wrong, what's happening, and all of that. I really liked it. I also liked the complexity of the emotions that he had towards his mother, his brother, Adam's emotions, that is, and also the opposite, their feelings, except, well, not the mother's. We don't really get too much of that. We do get Robert's point of view as well in some chapters, and I really enjoyed it. I liked how we get like things are never black and white, and that includes emotions, and I really enjoyed that talking point. And I'm looking forward to continue on with the series. It is trilogy, and all 3 books are out. Yeah, it is a trilogy. I don't think there's a 4th book coming. But yeah, I am looking forward to continuing on with this. And now I'm finished. But yeah, what was the best book that you read this autumn? For me, well, the book I'm most proud of is Black Leopard, Red Wolf. But my best book, that's a hard one, because I can't really say Murderbot because it's Murderbot, and part of me wants to say The God of Arepo because that got me out my slump. That was the first thing that I read after 3 weeks of not reading anything. But otherwise, I would have to say, whoops, The 2 Middle Grades were definitely some of the highlight from this autumn. But yeah, what was the best book that you read this last year, in the last third of the year? Please tell me down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!